At 55, Matt Damon's life has taken a turn that no one saw coming. Behind the cameras, the awards, and the Hollywood glamour, a private tragedy has unfolded. One so raw and heartbreaking that even his closest friends are left speechless. From personal struggles to unseen losses, this is a side of Matt Damon the world rarely witnesses. Prepare to see the human behind the star and understand why this story goes far beyond fame. It cuts straight to the heart. Matt Damon's story begins in the quiet streets of Cambridge, Massachusetts, but there was nothing quiet about his early life. Born on October 8, 1970, he entered a world that already felt fractured. His parents separated when he was just 2, leaving his mother, Nancy, to raise him and his younger brother Kyle on her own. The family moved into a small communal home shared with 6 other families, a place where walls were thin, ceilings low, and privacy almost non-existent. Every sound from the neighbors, every conversation, seeped into their lives. Money was tight, but Nancy worked tirelessly to fill the emptiness with stability, grading papers late into the night while her sons slept nearby. In that environment, Matt learned early that life wouldn't hand him comfort. He would have to carve it out himself. From a young age, he felt the absence of his father deeply. It wasn't anger he carried. It was a quiet emptiness that followed him through playgrounds and classrooms. Other children left school holding their father's hands, and Matt learned to notice the spaces left behind, the invisible gaps that no one could fill for him. But even in that absence, he found lessons. His mother instilled discipline and the value of intellect, teaching him that being smart wasn't a gift to flaunt. It was a responsibility to use well. Books became companions, imagination became escape, and the seeds of resilience were quietly sown. School brought both refuge and challenge. At the Cambridge Ringa Latin School, Matt was still quiet, often observing more than participating. Yet a drama teacher named Jerry Specca noticed something rare in him, a presence that could command a room with a single line, a depth that hinted at inner worlds few could see. Acting became his oxygen, a place where he could rewrite reality, imagine different endings, and experience connection he had sometimes missed at home. By the time he was a teenager, Matt had learned to turn absence into motivation. While other kids worried about fleeting social dramas, he honed his craft, studied human behavior, and channeled his quiet frustrations into creativity. He even began writing, scribbling short stories and later screenplays, not for fame, but as a way to make sense of a world that had often felt unfair. The boy who had grown up surrounded by chaos, yet nurtured by quiet guidance, began to realize that even in the smallest, most constrained spaces, he could create something infinite. From the cracks of hardship, the young Matt Damon was already learning the first rules of survival: endurance, imagination, and the unwavering determination to turn life's emptiness into opportunity. Matt Damon's rise to fame was never a straight line. After surviving the quiet struggles of his childhood, he stepped into the world with determination, but the road ahead was anything but kind. As a teenager, he had discovered the power of storytelling, the way words could transform pain into meaning. By 16, he was already writing short scripts, finding solace in creation when the world around him seemed indifferent. That brings us to the pivot point, where Damon created the world-famous Face, written by Steven Spielberg. His best friend, Ben Affleck, shared that same fire, and together they began to dream, scribbling stories late into the night in a small, threadbare apartment in Cambridge. The smell of instant noodles and cheap coffee became the backdrop of their persistence, a testament to their shared belief that talent, grit, and heart could carve a path where privilege and comfort might fail. Leaving Harvard in 1992, just 12 credits short of graduation, Matt made a leap that would define his life. He traded the safety of education for the uncertainty of Hollywood, chasing a role in Geronimo, an American Legend. The movie flopped, leaving him with no degree, no plan, and a city that glittered but offered little sustenance. He and Ben moved to Los Angeles, sharing a rundown apartment with flickering light bulbs, peeling paint, and a fridge that was often half empty. It was in these cramped spaces that Damon learned the true meaning of endurance. They typed tirelessly on a second-hand typewriter, rewriting the script that would eventually become Good Will Hunting. Each rejection letter, each ignored query, became a sharpening stone, honing their patience, their resilience, and their belief that they could create a story worth telling. Those nights of struggle were not just about survival. They were the foundation of Damon's craft. He poured his experiences into the screenplay, drawing on the loneliness, the hunger, and the quiet strength of a boy who had learned to endure. When the script was finally finished, it was more than a story. It was a declaration. A life forged in absence and adversity could rise to shape the world. Good Will Hunting exploded onto screens in 1997, catapulting Damon from obscurity to stardom almost overnight. At 27, he held an Oscar in his hands, a symbol not just of talent, but of every sleepless night and every scraped-together dollar that had carried him through the years. Yet, with that acclaim came an unexpected burden. Fame was not only a reward, it was a test. People questioned the authenticity of his achievements, whispered about luck, and scrutinized every move. Even as the applause rolled in, Damon faced challenges that fame could not soften. The roles he took demanded physical and emotional extremities. In Saving Private Ryan, he carried the weight of generations' grief in a single performance, feeling the tension of history in his bones. The talented Mr. Ripley pushed him into darkness, forcing him to confront aspects of human nature he had observed quietly, and sometimes painfully, from childhood. And when he stepped into the role of Jason Bourne, he subjected his body to a grueling regimen, performing stunts that left bruises, torn muscles, and exhaustion that bled into his private life. Audiences saw the hero. Damon experienced the cost. Each film brought acclaim, but also the reminder that the climb of fame is relentless. Yet the most significant challenges were not on set. They were in life's quieter corners. Damon endured the scrutiny of public opinion, missteps in interviews, and the relentless gaze of media judgment. He navigated controversies, from perceived slights during conversations on Project Greenlight to the fallout of a declining cryptocurrency campaign. Each misstep, each misinterpretation, became a lesson in humility, patience, and perspective. Even as critics questioned him, he continued to choose roles that resonated with truth, that required vulnerability rather than spectacle. The Martian, in 2015, proved that his endurance and patience had not only survived, but thrived, earning him critical acclaim and commercial triumph. It was a comeback, yes, but also a reaffirmation that mastery of craft required resilience, not just talent. Through it all, Damon's personal life interwove with his career. Early romances, brief as they were, taught him the fragility of intimacy in the glare of fame. He learned that love, like career, demanded attention, patience, and the willingness to prioritize what truly mattered. Meeting Luciana Barroso in 2003 became a turning point, a quiet, grounding force that reminded him life could be rich without spectacle, profound without applause. And they built a family together, grounding Damon's life even as his career soared to global heights. By his mid-40s, Damon had not only built a career, but crafted a life defined by balance. He selected roles with care, choosing meaning over notoriety, understanding that success was no longer just about recognition, but about staying true to his craft, his values, and his family. Each performance, from Oppenheimer to quieter character-driven projects, reflected a man who had learned to transform struggle into mastery. His journey from cramped apartments to Hollywood stages, from rejection letters to Oscars, was never about luck. It was a testament to endurance, heart, and the quiet, persistent fire that had burned since his earliest days. In every role, every award, every late-night writing session, Matt Damon proved that triumph born of struggle is deeper than applause. It is the ability to stand tall after repeated setbacks, to turn life's harshest lessons into art, and to let every scar, every sleepless night, every heartbreak become a building block for excellence. From the silent boy in Cambridge to the man commanding stadiums and screens worldwide, Damon's rise to fame was never easy, but it was always real, always hard-earned, and always profoundly human. Matt Damon's personal life has always run parallel to his public persona, but it's a world marked as much by trials and quiet struggles as by love and triumph. While audiences saw the polished actor commanding screens with effortless charm, the private Matt carried a different story. A life shaped by absence, longing, and the gradual discovery that love, like art, demands patience, presence, and endurance. Even as fame mounted, personal relationships were never shielded from the pressures of career, expectation, or the ghosts of childhood. After the whirlwind of Good Will Hunting, Damon's life took on the rhythm of Hollywood's relentless demands. At 27, he had achieved what many actors dream of for decades: Oscar recognition, critical acclaim, and instant celebrity. Yet, the very success that opened doors also created new spaces of vulnerability. In this world, intimacy became complicated. The first relationship that captured public attention was his brief yet intense connection with Minnie Driver. They met on the set of Good Will Hunting, where their shared moments of laughter, quiet glances, and late-night walks in Boston streets revealed a rare sense of understanding and comfort. It was a connection born not from spectacle, but from recognition. A meeting of two hearts, aware of the pressures that surrounded them. Despite the magic of those early days, the intensity of fame interfered. As the movie became a cultural phenomenon, the pair found themselves under the glare of media scrutiny. Private jokes became headlines, walks through the city became paparazzi fodder, and moments meant only for each other were dissected by strangers. It wasn't anger that ended the relationship, but a slow, inevitable drift. They learned the hard way that the world of fame can sometimes suffocate the tenderest beginnings. And yet, Damon later reflected that the memory of that connection was formative. It taught him that love could be both joyful and fragile, and that it required space and patience to thrive. After Minnie, life offered other relationships, but none seemed to combine the security Damon longed for with the grounding he needed. Hollywood's fast pace and his own restlessness created cycles where passion and connection often collided with absence and duty. He experienced heartbreak, disappointment, and the realization that loving under constant public gaze demanded sacrifices that were invisible to outsiders. Fame magnified every misstep, every emotional lapse, making ordinary challenges feel monumental. The turning point came in 2003, during the filming of Stuck on You. Damon, now in his early 30s, found himself in Miami, exhausted by work, haunted by the ghosts of past relationships, and seeking something real, something unpretentious. That something arrived in the form of Luciana Barroso. Unlike his previous connections, Luciana was not part of Hollywood's machinery. She didn't seek the limelight, didn't chase headlines, and offered nothing but authenticity. To Damon, it was a revelation. Here was someone who loved him not for his fame, not for the man everyone else idolized, but for the quiet human beneath it. The one who had been bruised by childhood absence, early heartbreak, and the relentless demands of acting. Their relationship started slowly, carefully, away from red carpets and cameras. They shared small, grounding moments, coffee in quiet cafes, long walks with winter air biting at their cheeks, conversations that lasted into dawn. Damon's world had been built on schedules, scripts, and public expectation, yet in Luciana's presence, he discovered the possibility of ordinary peace. Within a year, they married quietly in New York in 2005, without fanfare or paparazzi, a testament to their commitment to privacy and to each other. Luciana brought a daughter, Alexia, into the marriage, and Damon embraced the role of father with the same seriousness he brought to his craft. In the years that followed, they welcomed 3 more daughters, Isabella, Gia, and Stella. The family became the anchor of Damon's life, the space where fame could not intrude, and the place where he could translate the lessons of his childhood into presence, love, and guidance. Even in this domestic haven, life wasn't without trials. The demands of filming schedules pulled Damon across continents, often requiring him to spend nights away from his family. There were moments of guilt, nights when exhaustion made him feel inadequate as a father, and the constant pressure of balancing the public eye with private life. Yet Damon and Luciana navigated these pressures with mutual respect and deliberate choices. He turned down roles that threatened to take him away from family for too long, and she maintained stability, grounding the household even when the world seemed chaotic. Love, they discovered, was not static. It was daily, requiring decisions, compromises, and the courage to stay present. Damon's career achievements and family life were further tested by profound emotional trials, including the death of his close friend and mentor Robin Williams in 2014. Williams had been a guiding force during the early years of Damon's career, offering wisdom, laughter, and a model of how kindness could be as transformative as talent. His loss shook Damon deeply, reopening the tender wounds of absence and reminding him of life's fragility. Damon navigated this grief quietly, integrating the lessons of his friend into his ongoing work and personal life. The experience underscored the importance of human connection and the fleeting nature of presence, a theme that would resonate through his marriage and parenting. On September 6th, Damon left. Tragedy struck again with the passing of Damon's father, Kent Damon, in 2017. Kent had been physically absent for much of Matt's early life, but his quiet guidance and steady principles shaped the man Damon became. Sitting by his father's side in Kent's final days, Damon learned the profound truth that love often resides in effort, in presence, in trying even when perfection is impossible. The grief was private but transformative, reinforcing Damon's belief that emotional life was as critical as professional achievement. Through these experiences, Damon discovered that family was more than a collection of people. It was a deliberate practice of care, attention, and presence. He learned to balance fame with intimacy, to measure success not by accolades, but by the moments shared around a kitchen table, the laughter in a backyard, the quiet bedtime stories that became rituals of connection. He became a father who cooked breakfast, helped with homework, and drove his daughters to school, finding joy in routines that were far removed from the glamour of Hollywood premieres. Matt Damon's personal life, with its love, family, and emotional trials, is a testament to endurance and the quiet victories that go unseen. The heartbreaks of youth, the missteps in early relationships, the weight of public scrutiny, and the private grief of losing mentors and parents all shaped a man capable of profound empathy, patience, and commitment. Once through it all, he discovered that the truest measure of success isn't awards, wealth, or recognition, but the capacity to love, to stay present, and to nurture a family despite life's relentless challenges. At 55, Damon's life reflects this hard-won wisdom. His relationship with Luciana remains steady, a sanctuary against life's chaos. His children, both biological and adopted, grow under the care of a father who understands absence, presence, and the power of consistency. And even in the quiet moments, early mornings in the kitchen, evenings reading by lamplight, laughter echoing in a sunlit room, Matt Damon lives the lesson he has carried for decades, that love, resilience, and family are the quiet triumphs that endure far longer than any applause, any award, or any fleeting moment of fame. Matt Damon's story, when stripped of the red carpets, the flashing cameras, and the box office numbers, is really a story about legacy, reflection, and human values. It's the tale of a man who learned early that life is measured not by applause, but by how you carry yourself when the spotlight fades. Over decades, he has built a career that most would envy, yet what truly defines him is far more subtle. The choices he's made in silence, the lessons he has carried forward, and the lives he's touched beyond the silver screen. By the time Damon reached his mid-50s, he had become a household name, synonymous with resilience, talent, and versatility. Yet fame never seemed to inflate his ego. It was simply a stage upon which he could practice the values he had learned through hardship. From the small communal house in Cambridge where he grew up, Damon internalized the importance of empathy and responsibility. His mother's tireless devotion instilled in him the understanding that care for others is the cornerstone of a meaningful life. His father's quiet attempts at love, though inconsistent, taught him the subtlety of patience and forgiveness. These lessons became the undercurrent of his adult life, guiding him through the glittering chaos of Hollywood and the intimate challenges of family. Reflection has been a constant companion in Damon's life. He has spoken often, with a quiet humility, about the cost of success. The intense physical and emotional demands of roles like Jason Bourne or Sergeant Ryan in Saving Private Ryan left scars not visible on camera. Injuries, sleepless nights, and the constant pressure to perform created a shadow life that most fans could never see. Yet Damon has always met these challenges with a sense of discipline and purpose, understanding that the struggle behind the curtain shapes the man more than the applause on the stage. He has learned that talent is not just an end, but a responsibility, a tool to be wielded with care and integrity. Family has become the center of Damon's reflection. His marriage to Luciana Barroso, quiet and steadfast amid Hollywood's whirlwind, represents a sanctuary of ordinary joys and extraordinary love. Raising 4 daughters, 2 biological, 2 adopted, taught him lessons no script could convey. Every morning of helping with breakfast, every bedtime story, every small conversation about right and wrong became acts of legacy. In these moments, he discovered that human values are not abstract ideals, but lived practices, cultivated daily through attention, presence, and consistency. His children grew up not merely with privilege, but with the example of a father who valued kindness, empathy, and responsibility over fame or wealth. Damon's humanitarian work further illustrates his commitment to these values. Through Water or Goam and other charitable efforts, he has channeled the advantages of his fame into tangible impact, bringing clean water and sanitation to millions worldwide. It's not just charity. It's a deliberate choice to translate privilege into service. In interviews, he often emphasizes that the truest measure of success is not wealth or recognition, but the positive influence one has on others' lives. This ethos, cultivated from childhood hardship, is now the defining feature of his public and private legacy. Reflection has also required Damon to confront personal loss. The deaths of Robin Williams and his father, Kent Damon, forced him to examine mortality, love, and the fleeting nature of time. These losses were private, intimate, and devastating, yet they reinforced the values he had cultivated over decades: empathy, patience, humility, and gratitude. He learned to cherish small moments, to prioritize relationships, and to understand that life's greatest richness lies not in accolades, but in the quiet constancy of love and connection. In addition to his family and humanitarian work, Damon's professional choices reflect a conscious effort to align career with values. From declining roles that would pull him away from family for extended periods, to selecting projects that challenge societal norms or convey meaningful narratives, he demonstrates that fame is a platform, not a privilege for indulgence. Each character he embodies, from Will Hunting to Oppenheimer, carries layers of empathy and moral complexity, inviting audiences to explore courage, ethics, and human resilience. Through his art, he creates not only entertainment, but reflection, a mirror for audiences to see themselves, their struggles, and their potential for growth. As Damon reflects on his life today, he does so with a sense of calm authority tempered by humility. He recognizes that legacy is built not in grand gestures, but in the accumulation of small, deliberate acts, staying present with loved ones, using influence to improve lives, and making ethical choices even when inconvenient. He understands that fame fades, awards collect dust, and wealth can't protect against loss or grief. What endures is character, empathy, and the consistent practice of human values. These principles guide his decisions, from daily family life to professional endeavors, shaping a life that is quietly extraordinary, not because of spectacle, but because of integrity. Matt Damon's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of human values. It is a narrative of a boy who grew up in absence and scarcity, learned to turn silence into opportunity, and transform challenges into strength. It is a story of love and partnership, of parenting with intention, and of contributing to a world larger than oneself. In the end, Damon's reflection reveals a simple truth. The measure of a life well lived is not in how brightly it shines under public scrutiny, but in the depth of its impact, the authenticity of its choices, and the compassion it extends to others. Even at 55, Damon continues to embody this philosophy. He rises early to spend time with family, nurtures the next generation, engages in humanitarian work, and selects roles with moral and emotional resonance. He meditates on the past, cherishes the present, and plans for the future with a focus on values rather than vanity. In this way, his life becomes a living testament to what truly matters: empathy over ego, kindness over acclaim, and reflection over recklessness. Matt Damon's legacy, then, is not a collection of awards or headlines. It is the enduring evidence of a man who has lived with intention, honor, and a commitment to human goodness that will outlast even the brightest spotlight.